David, welcome.
Morning, George.
So President Obama looked pretty happy when he walked out on that stage to give President Clinton a hug. What did he say to the president?
You know, that he made a very effective case. He made a terrific speech, I think, and a very powerful case for the kind of economy we're trying to build in this country that's centered on the middle class. I think there's very few people in the country with enough credibility to make that case as persuasively as he did. So I think we've had a first couple of great nights here in Charlotte, and I think we're doing a lot of good for the president's campaign.
President Clinton raised the bar for President Obama tonight.
Well, these speeches are all of a piece. You know, we're telling a story here. I think the First Lady's speech on Tuesday was very impactful, really spoke from the heart. I think President Clinton laid out very powerfully the president's record and the choice in this election. The president obviously tonight's going to talk about his record, but the path in front of the country.
So much more specifics tonight from the president on what he wants to do in a second term?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of the president's speech, but I think folks, after watching the speech tonight, will have a very clear sense of where he thinks the country needs to go economically, the path we need to take. And obviously, you have two parties now, as President Clinton laid out so well last night, with very divergent views on the right economic path for the country.
But President Clinton also said that President Obama is still committed to cooperation with Republicans, and no matter what happens in November, even if the president wins, the cast of characters is going to be pretty much the same. That Bob Woodward book points out that the White House wasn't fully prepared and didn't quite know how to work with the Republicans. So I think what a lot of people wonder is, how is it going to be different the next time?
Well, I'd step back and say we've worked with the Republicans in Congress when they're willing. We've cut taxes for the middle class. We've cut over $1 trillion in spending, more than was called for in the Bowles-Simpson plan. We've helped our entrepreneurs do things like patent reform. So we've worked with them on important things.
Big change of plans tonight. The president was supposed to be speaking in that stadium. He's going to be inside this hall instead. And the Republicans are not buying your argument that this is about the weather. The chairman of the Republican National Committee said that the Democrats must be having trouble filling the seats.
Yeah. Well, that's just preposterous. We were going to have a sold-out crowd and then probably some people in an overflow room. But the weather is what it is. We couldn't take a chance with people's safety.
Wasn't that predictable?
Well,
North Carolina in August,
well, sure.
September.
We knew it was a possibility when we made the decision to locate the convention here and plan to do the speech outside, but we always had a contingency plan. And I think what the American people are less interested in is where the president's going to give the speech and what he's going to say tonight. And we think tonight's going to be a great capstone on which has been a very important week.
I think you're having a pretty good week, but it seems like nothing can break the tie in this race. Are you ready to predict a real bounce coming out of North Carolina?
Listen, this is a very tight race. We've always believed that there's very little elasticity in the election. I don't think you should expect a big bounce. I think this is a race where we've got a small but important lead in some battleground states. It's going to be very, very close all the way out. But I think the Republicans had an opportunity last week to lay out for the American people what they would do for the middle class. Our sense is they missed the mark. So we think we're making a lot of progress this week. But again, you're not going to see big bounces in this election. I think for the next 61 days, it's going to remain tight as a tick.
David Plouffe, thanks very much.
Thanks, George.